So yesterday I did the decode, finished the decode on the Adjustment Bureau, and recognized how, like, I've seen that film a few times, but knowing what I know now and watching it back, I was able to see a totally different layer. And in kind of retrospect, it's kind of amazing to me how obvious it is. I mean, it's obvious, but it's not obvious. It's only obvious when you understand what you're looking at. And so every time I decode something, every video I make, I learn something. I'm learning more things about myself. And let me go over here. I kind of want to talk a little bit about how I don't even know how to express it, because I'm going through a lot of changes right now, and I feel like a totally different person, which is great. So I was watching this young woman earlier today, and she has an interesting perspective. She's a little bit more new agey, but it doesn't really matter. We're all talking about the same thing, just in different languages. But one thing that struck me about what she was saying was how we're going to come into our higher selves. And I remember when I was in the 3D and someone told me about the holographic universe, it triggered me big time. And I was on board with it up to a point, and then it triggered me. So I now understand, looking back, what was meant by it. And what triggered me was that you be the observer. You're not really a participant in your life. And it still isn't accurate. It's not like, I think what was supposed to have been meant by that is that you don't get all wrapped up in the 3D the way that we do when we're in the 3D mindset, because you are the observer, but you get to participate in the 3D on a different level. You participate in a sense that you are choosing what you want to see in your movie. So it's a distanced perspective, but you're still participating. You're just not losing yourself in the 3D and not trying to fix things in the 3D to make things work for you. I'm seeing new things. I'm changing my worldview again. Like, I've already talked about that, but this last 2 months has been pretty intense, and I'm getting revelations every day showing me how very personal this universe is. That your personal experience is catered to you, and that's what I'm seeing more and more. We think that we're in this world together in a sense that there's outside influences, and I mean, in a way, yes, but it's more like a dream. It's a dream that you are having, and the people that you perceive outside of yourself are extensions of you. So it's not really what we thought it was, in the sense of we're all sharing this world together. We are and we're not. I mean, the paradoxes in this place are just astounding. Yeah, like, the higher you go, the more you see, the harder it is to relate to people on the ground. And not in a sort of disrespectful way. It's just, I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I like where I'm at. I like it here because it doesn't affect me like it used to, which is the whole point. You know, I keep thinking the image of Tiffany Gomez on the cartoon version of her on the plane, on top of the plane, on top of the world, with the sun behind her head, the crown, and the TMFINR over her head, which really means the end of time, like real world time, like reality time. Yeah, and the decode that I did yesterday with the Adjustment Bureau, and seeing how they ended it with being on top of the Empire State Building. It's the same thing. The Empire State. State is the state that you are. You are the emperor. You're the emperor and the empress. And then that goes back to the video I did the other day where I was seeing license plates and the one said Empress because I'm the Empress. And then I saw the Jedi license plate telling me that I'm a Jedi. So that's what I mean. It's so personal. Everything that happens to you is personal. And I mean, I was thinking it was more like, and maybe it is, but I was thinking that it was more like being on stage of a play where everyone has their parts and you have your perspective and then you interact with people, you know, kind of like a normal 3D perspective. But when the universe speaks to you so directly and things happen to you so directly and so personally based off of your thoughts, and things just show up, you know, like that truck with England on the side, the license plate that says seize the day, 2 souls in 1, and Jedi and Empress, like those are specific. They don't just they're not there already. They manifest out of thin air specifically to speak to me. So yeah, and then my street theater and all of that, it's all coming from me. I mean, I was aware of it before, but I'm hyper aware of it now in a different kind of way that makes it more powerful. And I'm not just talking about like the random person on the street, like everything. The movies you watch, the information you receive, the songs you hear on the radio, all of it is catered to you because all of it is coming from you. I mean, it's just magical. So it got a little chilly and my ears are cold. I want to continue talking a little bit about being where I'm at the moment, because I'm sure other people have been in this position. I just haven't heard of anybody talking about it. And I went through a process of documenting my journey and the various stages that I've gone through. So I had some sense of where things were headed and what to expect. I didn't know what to expect in terms of how I would experience it or how it would unfold or what it would look like, feel like. I didn't have any clue about that. But once I understood the story was about the separation and reunification of the male and female, but it's also about the Kundalini connection, I understood what the story was and what my story was. I have felt a change in myself over the last several months. It's been evolving, but especially today, I have felt different. Obviously, my awareness and my perception has changed, and but I feel different. I feel like a different version of me. I gotta take a nap. I'm exhausted and I'm getting triggered. So I think the universe is telling me not to talk about something. So I'm gonna have to meditate for a bit and come back to it. So I was recording a video earlier today and I got a lot of interruptions, and so you know what that means, that the universe said, not right now. So I meditated for a while, and I had a lot of revelations about what's going on in my world at the moment. And my stomach is a little upset, so I'm gonna take it easy today. I'm gonna watch a Christmas movie while making these Christmas wreaths. And I do want to talk a little bit about street theater, which is kind of what I started talking about in the park earlier. But what I'm going to do is, for members, I'm going to put a copy of the street theater that happened to me in the summer in the Vlogmas. And then tomorrow I will decode it. And I want to hear your insights on what you see in the street theater. And then you can compare it to what I got out of it. Just a little fun exercise. So I am watching Best Christmas Ever, and we'll see how this goes, because I had this sort of inkling this winter that this was going to be the best Christmas ever for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not really that big on Christmas, not lately anyway. When I was a kid, yeah, but this is the first year that I've actually been excited about Christmas, which is why I decided to do this crazy Vlogmas that I'm doing. So I'm interested to see what this movie has to say, and maybe I'll show you some progress on these wreaths. We'll see how it goes. I'm not promising anything because I don't know how good they're gonna be. So this is easier than I thought it would be. I was expecting to have to use hot glue, and maybe I will for something else, but these have wire on them, so I can put it into the actual wreath. One here. Ixie's fascinated by it. She just wants to eat it. So the movie's terrible, but my wreath turned out nice. And Ixie didn't eat any of it. It actually goes this way, but here. Ixie, say hello. Yeah, you're... there's the wreath. There you go. Finished my wreaths, hung them, put the lights up. So I needed to get that done. I also need to clean the house. I put on Virgin River. It's much better than that crappy Christmas show. I don't know, it was terrible. Heather Graham comes out of hiding to do that movie. I don't know why. When I started to recognize that I was experiencing street theater, there were some events that stood out more than others. So I thought that the street theater was just isolated events here and there. But I'm starting to realize that everything is street theater. It's the theatrical unfolding of whatever's going on within. Now that I've realized that, I can see how everything in my experience is a reflection of what's within. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of things like, why did I cross the road at that time? It's usually things that have some sort of meaning or significance that stand out to you that's worth looking at. If, say for example, you have something that you would like to manifest in your experience and you're frustrated because you're not seeing it happen, if you could look at that as an example of street theater and say, okay, well, what is this telling me? And how does that reflect what I've been saying or thinking? Usually we think that we're focused on one thing, but really we get thrown by the 3D, and so we react to it, and you have to get to a place where the 3D doesn't affect you and you don't react to it. And say you want to manifest an apple, and you keep getting oranges or you don't see anything at all, and she's like, well, where's my apple? Why am I not getting my apple? It's because you keep saying, where's my apple? Why am I not getting it? That it's not showing up, because you might start to get some movement in the direction of getting an apple. So say you might see apple trees, or you might see somebody named Apple, or Apple products, or something like that. So you're getting close to seeing an apple, but you're not getting the apple that you want. So when that happens, you just have to back off, which is why if you look in your experience, you will usually notice that you get things when you're not paying attention to them, because you've put the call out, you expect it to come, but because you're looking for it and not finding it, you keep noticing the not finding it. So you're kind of canceling out your order, because the universe hears, I want it, but I want it, but I want it, but I don't see it. I want it, but I don't see it. And so when you stop and you let go, that's when it starts to show up. So it's the same sort of thing. Like what you're getting outside of you is street theater. It's a reflection of what's going on within you. So if you can interpret what's happening outside of you symbolically, you can figure out, oh, okay, so that's why that's happening. Now, it's nuanced and layered, because you can get street theater that has to do with what's happening within you regarding, say, a manifestation, or it's regarding your ascension journey, which is also a manifestation. So you kind of need to be able to interpret it depending on what's going on with you and how it relates to you. There's a street theater thing that happened to me in the summer. I was sitting here editing and wasn't really concerned with what was going on outside. There was some noise out there and I thought it'll just go away. Well, it didn't go away, because it was supposed to be, it was happening outside my window to get my attention. And what I found really interesting about it, just like with all the other street theater performances that I experienced that sort of manifested out of nowhere, it took my attention. So I got called to go there, such like the one day where I was busy editing and I wasn't getting anywhere. It was frustrating. There was noise outside. Ixie was acting up. It was just chaos. So I thought, I'll just leave it for now and I'll go out for a drive and go to the shops. So I went to the store and I was just like, well, can you tell me what's going on? Give me some sort of sign to tell me what's going on. So I went into the Home Depot and I was looking for light bulbs. I didn't really need much of anything, but I went out because I needed a break. So I was looking for light bulbs and I thought, well, surely I can get light bulbs for cheaper than this, because I had been to the dollar store to get light bulbs and they didn't have any that were reasonable, or they didn't have anything good. And I thought, I can get them for $1. I know I can. So I thought, I'll go to Home Depot. And I don't usually go to Home Depot, but I went to the lighting section and found some light bulbs for $1. So I manifested light bulbs for $1. So light bulbs are associated with intuition, ideas, aha moments. The light bulb goes off. And while I was in the lighting section, the song on the radio was, I Saw the Sign. I opened up my eyes and I saw the sign. And it's full of truth and symbolism, that song and the video, Ace of Base. And I decoded it. I have a whole video on this particular street theater event. What I realized in the moment, or outside, I don't remember exactly when I realized, I'm pretty sure it was in the moment. Yeah, it was in the moment. And I was listening to the song, and nobody can lift you up into the light where you belong was the line. And I was in Home Depot in the lighting section, and I just bought light bulbs and into the light. So the sign was that I was in the lighthouse. and you belong in the light. I thought, like, this is pretty powerful stuff to be sitting at home and all of this stuff is like disrupting to get me moving so that I go to Home Depot, which I had no plan to do. I didn't have any plan to go to Home Depot, but hey, let's go. So this, all of it was orchestrated for my benefit. And there was more to it than that as well. But you can go see that video if you like. But this particular street theater that happened outside my window, again, like, I don't usually go out very often. I'll go to the grocery store or what have you, but I go out very rarely. And so the street theater decided to come to my door. And at this point, I didn't think that the street theater would use people I knew, but it did. These were my neighbors. And so I'm sitting here trying to ignore it, but this thought in my head said, well, maybe my neighbors are there and they might need some help and I can record it or something. So I get up and I'm like, well, where did that thought come from? So I get up and I go to the window, and sure enough, it's my neighbors and they're in a fight, and I'm watching it unfold and I'm just like, good God, what the heck is going on? And it took me quite some time to realize that it was street theater. And it even took me quite a bit longer talking with a friend of mine to figure out what it meant, because it was so unusual. But indeed, it was street theater, and the message was pretty profound. So I found it really fascinating how not only was I seeing the codes in TV, film, news events and such, I was seeing it in my street theater, but then to have it involve people I knew, that really like hit a new level for me. So I was getting different kinds of synchronicities on multiple levels, and so it was just coming like bigger and bigger. And from my experience, I've noticed that the more you notice it, the more it is going to come to you that way. And I get synchronicities through everything, television, news, movies, the radio, songs, people saying something, street theater. I do something happens, and you notice these little things that happen in your life and connect it to, well, what was I thinking about? What was I focused on? What's going on in my life right now? And then has it connected to anything else? It usually only takes two synchronicities for you to pay attention to the message. And the sooner you get the message, the better, because now you've brought the subconscious to the conscious level. You've made the connection because it's trying to get your attention. And when these synchronicities are sending you messages from your subconscious, and you're translating them and you're making it conscious, bringing it to light, you should not be getting those same synchronicities again. Another thing that's a message is an illness. If you are getting an illness, one thing you can do is, Abraham Hicks taught me this, is if you're getting an illness, look at the symptoms of the illness and examine how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel trapped, itchy, something getting under your skin? Is it stressing you out? Is it getting you angry? Like, how does it make you feel? And then describe it in terms, like, say, oh, it makes me want to pull my hair out, or it really gets under my skin, or drives me crazy, like those sorts of terms. So for example, there was a street theater event where, and I talked about this one too, I went to the grocery store and something was going on with me at the time. Was going up and down the aisles. I noticed that I was constantly having somebody in my way. There was someone in front of me blocking the aisle, standing in the aisle in a weird way, And it was so obvious, and it just happened multiple times. Like, I was going down this one aisle, and this lady just stopped at the end of the aisle in the middle, and she just, like a robot, just stopped to think or something. And I thought, that's really weird. This happened before at the other store. And I was wondering, why is this happening? Because I've never seen people behave like that before. But repetitive experiences of somebody blocking my way, so I felt boxed in. And I only realized this after the fact, that I was feeling boxed in. And I thought, well, why do I feel boxed in? And I realized that it was because I was getting in my own way. So there was something I was going through at the time, and I was cutting myself off or blocking myself. So that's why I was getting these experiences. If you have an illness, if you look at your life and find other aspects of your life where you feel the same way, where I was feeling boxed in, where was I feeling boxed in my life? Where was I getting in my own way? There was one time where I had a shoulder injury, and I went to the doctor, and they said, well, we'll get an ultrasound and look at your shoulder. And they said that I had a tear, so I needed physiotherapy and all this sort of stuff. Well, I was supposed to go back to talk to him about my results, and in the meantime, I did this practice, this law of attraction practice, where I thought about how it made me feel, and it's like, well, it was restricting, so I was feeling restricted, like I can't move properly. So I meditated on it and figured out why I felt restricted. Can't remember now why I did, but whatever it was, I released it. And by the time I went back to the doctor, I said, well, I can move my arm now. It's totally fine. And he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked, because he's like, I don't know how that's possible. You have a tear. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I said, well, it's gone, and I've never had a problem with it since. So, yeah, weird. And so those sorts of things are there to call attention to something. An illness is something that's trying to get your attention to something that you've really ignored. You've deeply ignored. And it's probably something that you've buried because it's had to come up as an illness. It's very strange how you can go through life not noticing the connection between an illness and a belief that you've held for most of your life, and how changing that belief changes your body and your physiology, because you're no longer holding on to this memory, and you're no longer holding on to this assumption, and that frequency or that vibration's not in your body anymore. That tension's not in your body anymore. Yeah, so basically an illness is there to call attention to something that you're neglecting, something that you've buried, something that you need to resolve. I'm going to post my street theater from the summer and let you have a go at it, and then I'll do a video tomorrow breaking down what I see in it. And I wanted to show it to you because I think it is a prime example of something that would happen normally. It would just unfold normally, that you wouldn't even think that that's street theater until you look at it as street theater and examine it. And then when you look at it that way, it reveals the illusion, because everything here is an illusion. Everything here is just a play. And you have the choice of whether you want to participate in it or not. I mean, I could have really have gotten involved in that street theater thing. I could have gone downstairs. I could have said something. I could have intervened in the fight. I could have called the cops. I could have gotten involved in their issues, but I chose not to because I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want anything to do with it. But I did record it, and I also did decode it. Because the reason that it was shown to me was for decoding. So yeah, all of these things that call your attention, pay attention to them. See what the message is for you. You have a look at your day and see what messages were shown to you, and things that you think are odd, things that stand out to you that, wow, like what was that? If it stands out to you, chances are it's street theater, but everything is street theater. Everything is a play. And when you can recognize that, you can pull yourself out of the 3D, and just like in the Adjustment Bureau, you can choose to participate in it or not. It's like, you're just one of them, aren't you? If you have a street theater experience you'd like to share in the comments, I'd love to hear it. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.